surprise to the annuity and financial community, equity-indexed annuities were specifically provided favorable regulatory treatment in last week's financial reform bill. That treatment, which was clearly headed for a change before the new law with the SEC, prepared to reclassify equity-indexed annuities as securities starting in 2011. My guest is Iowa Insurance Commissioner Susan Voss. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Susan, your state was instrumental in this whole process. Let's talk about 151A and what this means.
Well, I think there's been a real evolution in education about equity-indexed annuities and the role that insurance regulators have played over the last 2 years since the initial proposal by the SEC. I think insurance commissioners have kind of stepped up to the plate to explain that these really aren't a securities product as one would envision a typical security as being regulated by the SEC. And regulators have also done quite a bit in the area of regulation through suitability requirements and education for the agents that sell these. And so even though it's a very small piece of the annuity and financial market, I think we've done a lot to make this a better product, and I think it shows by Congress realizing that insurance regulators have really done a good job.
So, Susan, then where do we go from here with regards to regulation and future legislation?
Well, I'm not sure. Sometimes if people have the stomach to sort of revisit an issue, but I think what the federal legislation does, assuming that it's passed in the Senate and signed by the President, will really encourage those states that have not passed the most recent suitability model that the NAIC put together last year, but to start that process. Between Iowa and Minnesota, we have about close to 70% of the indexed annuity writers are within our states, and we have told them to not only is Iowa pass the model, but we're telling our companies we expect them to use that model wherever they are selling products. So I think you're going to see states and companies step up to the plate and do the right thing and regulate using that model, and companies will also embrace the model as well. So I don't see, if there's going to be any regulation or legislation, it's probably going to be at the state level to enforce.
Susan, there were strong objections from House Financial Service Committee Chairman Barney Frank, among others, arguing that the legislation weakens investor protection. So how do you answer that?
Well, I just have to disagree with that. I think insurance regulators have done a great job, and if 10 years ago there were problems, I will truly admit that. But with every new product, lessons learned, and we did, I think, a great job at the state level of getting our companies to do the right thing. And so I'm a little troubled when I hear that, especially given the light of not every regulator finds the bad actor, and I think we can all point fingers at one another where we've dropped the ball, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in moving forward, and I would disagree with that. We have a lot of suitability illustration requirements, continuing education requirements on these products alone, so I just don't think that argument holds water anymore.
My guest has been Iowa Insurance Commissioner Susan Voss. Susan, thank you.
Oh, you too, anytime.
And if it's okay, can we call on you again sometime?
Sure. Hey, anytime. Happy to do it.
This is Scott Drake, and you're watching Annuity News Now.